My name is Andrew Githinji Muhuri, who was the founding member of amongst the officers of the General Service Unit. By 1961, we were informed immediately to prepare ourselves, and we had to book British Air Force, which planes took us, overlifted ourselves from Eastleigh Air Base. 3 big Royal Air Force took us directly to Zanzibar. We never knew what was in Zanzibar, but immediately after landing to Zanzibar, we found there was chaos. There was an outbreak of overthrowing the Sultan government by the Africans. We found there was chanting of blood. People were being killed. And then we had to take swift actions to stop this kind of killings, because police officers who were in Zanzibar could not make it. One thing, they were not qualified to tackle such incidents, but we had to go take swift actions, and for 24 hours, we had to act according to how we had been trained, to see that there is no life which is lost because of political gains. Within 1 month, we had brought peace back to Zanzibar and the Pemba and other surrounding islands. In a matter of fact, after staying there for 1 month, I requested those Zanzibar police officers to take me in direct, because I wanted to see the world slave market where it was situated. I was taken to the world slave trade market. I saw how slaves were being treated. I was later taken to Pemba, which was the store, another let's say kind of store where those who are waiting to be taken to the world market were being brought from. I felt very pain. And in a matter of fact, I saw how Africans were being tortured, and I was not happy. We had to come to the reality that the Africans were being betrayed by their brothers Arabs in Pemba and Zanzibar. But unfortunately, one of the officers from Zanzibar, black Africans, as we had directives that we are to shoot on sight Mr. Chekabedi Karume and his counterpart, Mr. Mohammed, who was a Chotara. He was a half caste. We are to kill them whenever we will find them. These are the instructions from the order of the governor, who was in Zanzibar in charge of security. In Zanzibar, we had the governor, we had the Sultan, and we had the Prime Minister. So, the security was under control and in charge of the British governor. This British governor, when crisis arose in Zanzibar, requested the British government from London to order the Kenyan governor, Mr. Malcolm MacDonald, to assist the governor who was in Zanzibar with security forces to be taken to Zanzibar so that they could assist to quell this kind of overthrowing of the government. And that's how we landed to Zanzibar. In the matter of fact, our mission was successful because within 2 months, we had done our best and stopped this. But before that time, because Mr. Sheikh Ahmed Karume and his friend, Mr. Mohammed, who are in charge of Afro-Chiras Party, were being sought by the British government so that they could be killed. We are requested by Africans who are police officers in Zanzibar, if at all we could assist those people to escape during the night. Because they could get an asylum in Tanganyika, because by that time, there was no federation of Zanzibar and Tanganyika. Zanzibar remained a Zanzibar government, and Tanganyika had a prime minister who was Mr. Julius Kambarage Nyerere. We assisted those people with their boats with engines by night. In Indian Ocean, we escorted the boat which was carrying Mr. Sheikh Ahmed Karume and Mr. Mohammed to Tanganyika. And we left them there. Then we had to come back. I think we arrived maybe at around 5 in the morning. And we went back to our camp. So, those people arrived in Tanzania. We came to get information through radios, and they were received by Mr. Julius Kambarage Nyerere, because he was the prime minister by that time, was not the president. They had not gained full mandate of independence. And we had now to come back to Kenya, whereby we used the ship which belonged to the Sultan of Zanzibar, which was known as Saint Khalifa, Said Khalifa, which brought us from Zanzibar to Mombasa. After landing to Mombasa, we had to go back to Nairobi Embankers. When we went back to Embankers, the Kenyan government had already negotiated with ex-government in London, and they had decided to release JOMO KENYATTA. JOMO KENYATTA had to be released on the 14th of August by 1961. And this was announced through the radio that JOMO KENYATTA is coming, and the day when he is coming. So, people in Nairobi had to flock Embankers International Airport. By that time, it was known as Embankers International Airport. The British government, the governor and the PC, and the security, which was being led by the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Catlin, when they went to Embankers, they found there was a lot of people. And they had to fear that there might be an outbreak of violence. So, when they consulted the governor, Mr. Malcolm MacDonald, the commissioner, Mr. Catlin, they and the PC of Nairobi, they feared that there might come out an outbreak of violence by those Kikuyus who were singing and dancing because of that particular hatred which was there between British government and the Kikuyu, because majority of the Kikuyus had already been killed during the emergency, and those who were arrested, they died in the detention. And then Mbaka's was one of the detention whereby Kikuyu were forced to dig Mbaka's airport. It was dug by those people who were in detention, and they prepared to become an airplane field. So they feared this. They had to order the plane which were bringing Mr. Kenyatta to divert its landing of Mbaka's to Kahawa Garrison, which we had an area running whereby small airplanes could land, they were landing. So they changed the landing place to Kahawa Garrison British Air Base. We had to be ordered to go direct and wait for Jomo Kenyatta at Kahawa Garrison. We went direct to Kahawa Garrison, part of the General Service Unit, whereby I belonged to. We waited for him. He arrived. The airplane arrived. He came out. He was put into a police Land Rover, and we took him to Atondo, whereby we find he was being waited by the DC and the DO and the majority of Kikuyus who belong to Atondo. After arriving to Atondo, we found the members of the political parties, which was KANU, which was led by Mr. James Gishuru, and Mr. T.J. Boyer, who was the General Secretary of the party, and other members of parliament as Jackson Angaini from Meru. And also, there was Mr. Ronald Igara, who was the chairman of the opposition party, and Mr. Martin Chikuku, and Mr. Ole Tipis, and other members of the parliament. When Jomo Kenyatta came out from the Land Rover, he was called by the DC. He was asked by the DC himself, we have two houses there. There's one house which was built by KANU, which was to be given to Jomo Kenyatta after being released from the prison. And there was another one which was built by KADU, which was Kenya Democratic Party, Kenya African Democratic Party. Jomo Kenyatta decided to take the house which was built by KANU. They said that he is ready to enter into that building. He accepted it, and then he was ordered by the DC, he will go there, and they live there. I think maybe the house might be, it's still there, because it is his first house whereby he entered after coming from the prison. Before he went into the house, he was called by the DC, and he was given a letter. Maybe that letter is still in possession of our First Lady, Mama Ngina Kenyatta.